Oh, it's so much fun now. Photosynthesis and all that.
I'll call the meeting to order for the regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. This is Monday, October the 12th, 2020. First, we'll do a roll call.
Yes. Mayor Noes,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks,
Here.
Alderperson Amaker,
Here.
Barry,
Here.
Blackwell,
Here.
Dunn, McGee.
Here.
7 present.
So we have a quorum of 7, and I'll ask Reverend Ricky Wade to bring us the invocation. And while Ricky Wade is coming to the podium, I'd like for everyone to please stand right now for a moment of silence in memory of my fellow mayor, Lonnie Norman, who passed away this morning in Manchester. So a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Reverend Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let us pray. Gracious God, for the wonder and beauty of this day you have created, for the opportunity you give us to be stewards of your creation, and for this day of life, we give you thanks. And we pray, pour out your blessings upon this gathered assembly, upon our mayor and board, upon our city administration and first responders. Guide them by your wisdom and by your grace, so that we of this community may know justice and live in freedom. This we lift up in the name of Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Wade. At this time, we have commendations and certificates, and we also have a proclamation and special presentations by our city administrator, Ms. Moody.
Thank you. This month's Employee of the Month is Sheila Rico in our Parks and Recreation Department. And Sheila is one that I have the opportunity firsthand to work with occasionally, and certainly can speak highly of how well she works every summer with our aquatics team, lifeguards, and all the workers out there that keep Splash Island safe. I would like to read, she was nominated by a coworker in another department, and I think that's also important to note. We have a great team that I think works very frequently across departments to help one another and to really support each other. This nomination states, I would like to nominate Sheila Rico, Aquatics Director, for Employee of the Month. She recently taught the CPR AED first aid training for employees. I'd like to commend her for an outstanding job. She equipped us with life-saving information and skills to help in an emergency situation. The training was very informative and realistic as to what it would be like to be in an actual emergency, and the reality of how long we may need to continue CPR until first responders arrive. She provided excellent training, answered our questions, and helped us learn information that could help our coworkers, strangers, or friends, family members. She shined in her ability and confidence to teach in a group atmosphere while ensuring that all were able to perform the actions needed to handle an emergency. Sheila covered all kinds of first aid training, choking, bleeding, burns, and even more unexpected type of situations. And I came away from the class knowing and feeling confident that I could help in the event it was needed. It was not just the instruction or training, but also I've seen Sheila and how she cares about her coworkers, the community, her exercise class participants. And she demonstrates this daily, going above and beyond teaching and helping those she comes in contact with to improve health and wellness. And so they asked for this nomination, and I would second all of that, and then also invite Director Kurt Glick to come forward and add any additional comments.
Well, Sheila got nominated for the teaching the first aid class, but it could have been for anything. It could have been for all the yoga classes she teaches, or exercise classes, or just anything she does. She puts a tremendous amount of effort into everything and has very good results. So we're very happy to have her.
Yes, Sheila, please come up. We can present this to you. Good to see you. And then you're welcome to make any comments.
Okay, thank you. I gotta get that off so I can get my reading glasses on. I have some notes here. First, can you hear me?
Yep.
At first, I wanted to thank you for this honor. CPR is an obvious life-saving measure, but recreation provides a lot of physical and mental aspects that are life-saving as well. We provide exercise equipment and classes for people that may not be able to exercise on their own, or may need a pool for rehabilitation or joint pain. Our patrons motivate and support each other. Through challenging times, they demonstrate genuine concern for each other. We provide safe open spaces for people to find solitude or meet new friends or enjoy the space with their friends and family. This year when Splash Island opened, I was an absolute nervous wreck. First, because I'm very protective of our staff and I didn't know what to expect. It turned out it really inspired me seeing what I saw, so I'm just going to share with you guys what I saw this summer. There were adults with literal tears in their eyes because they were so happy to see their children or grandchildren enjoying the pool and some sense of normalcy. We had lifeguards that's parents had lost their jobs because of COVID that were working as many hours as they could to help support their families, while we had others that sacrificed seeing their grandparents so they could work at the pool and maintain a safe distance from their grandparents for the summer. Almost every single person that visited the pool was extremely courteous and gracious and grateful, and we had people come from all over because not everybody has a backyard that their kids can enjoy, and they just needed to get out. So I really am happy that Jennifer and Kurt decided to open the pool, because I can tell you I was so hesitant because I was scared, but it turned out to be a really great summer. And a great in so many ways for the community and for the staff and the support system. So recreation is not just about parks and pools and ball. It's about keeping the community safe and providing experiences, memorable experiences that will enhance their daily lives and empower them to get through those life challenges like we've had this last year. I'd like to express my thanks for the board for continuing to fund recreation, and we're really looking forward to more improvements and the future expansion of our program. Again, I'm honored to receive this award and recognition, but I've brought 3 people that with me tonight that have been with me since my very first day at the center. They worked there before I came and have been here for 9 years. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to get through all my difficult times or develop my leadership skills and do the extra things that I needed to do to have led to this honor. So I would like to call Grace Woodard and Charles Wilkerson and Ted Johnson up. And I would just like to thank you guys, and I want them to be recognized with me as well, and also JP and Kurt.
Thank you. I think you can see this humble leader that wants to honor her whole community.
I think we need to line up for a photo op.
Where do we go?
Come up here.
Oh, up here.
Thank you, and congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to that team. That's quite a team. Now, on our agenda, we have an opportunity to have some comments from citizens. Are there any citizens in the audience who would like to address the board this evening? In fact, this evening I have invited Dr. Sanders to come and share with us his perspective and some comments on COVID. COVID has been on the increase in our community for the last couple of months. Dr. Sanders has been right on top of it and working on it. He has some very personal experiences with us with the disease. So Dr. Sanders, we appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm Bill Sanders. I'm a physician in town. I'm currently working as a hospitalist at Hardin, but my comments tonight are my comments on my behalf. Thank you for letting me talk. I've been concerned over the last month, since the first of this month, with the increase in cases in our community. Our current case rate in this county is 47 cases per 100,000 residents, which is more than double the rates in Davidson, Hamilton, Rutherford, Shelby, and Knox counties. Hardin Hospital, our COVID unit is, and Franklin counties as well, are at or near capacity for the last few weeks. And I've racked my brain to decide what can we do about this. The mayor and I were fortunate today to attend a meeting in Winchester of the governor's task force, representatives of Coffee, Franklin, and Grundy County. Very good meeting and a lot of back and forth, a lot of good discussion, such as allocation of resources from the state to targeted areas with outbreaks, need for more data information by the schools and health departments, such as trying to determine whether the increase is related to outbreaks, such as in long-term care facilities, related to the schools, or related to just community spread. I happen to believe that our area here is having community spread. And we had a long discussion about this and talked about protective measures. The state deputy epidemiologist, Mary Margaret Phil, Dr. Phil, gave a very good talk about personal protective measures. She presented some data about mask wearing, which was very helpful to explain people in the room about the effectiveness, the incontrovertible effectiveness of that, as a matter of fact. Then she presented an interesting study from Vanderbilt, which examined hospitalizations in the state from June on. At the present time, 60% of Tennessee residents live in zip codes with mask ordinances. She presented 4 graphs that showed that the hospitalization growth rate by patient zip code was directly correlated to the percentage of those zip codes with mask ordinances, implying that they do work. She then gave the statistics for the 8 areas. Our area, which is South Central Tennessee, has the lowest incidence of mask ordinances, less than 25% of the population. Now, what do we do with that information? You know, our governor has said that we're not going to have a state mandate. It's up to the individual counties. Although I personally would favor a mask mandate, I realize that we do not have it in this county. We will not have that. So what do we do as individuals? I think we have to reinforce how important this is, as controversial as it may be with some, to adhere to the protective measures that have been recommended: gathering spaces, indoor dining, face coverings, and so forth. And as community leaders, as governmental leaders, as healthcare leaders, as people in the community, we have to set an example and emphasize that so we can reduce the incidents in our county back down to tolerable levels. I think we can do that. I'd be glad to answer questions, but that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dr. Sanders. Does anyone have any specific questions for Dr. Sanders?
I do.
Go ahead.
So is there, so other than us leading by example and by getting information out to the community, is there anything else that we around this table can do to help support our community better?
I asked that very question to the man today. I think you can lead by example, which is what you said, and it's hard to stand in the middle of Lowe's and correct someone. I don't think I'd move to the point of doing that, but I always thought that leading by example was the best approach.
Thank you, Dr. Sanders. I appreciate you being here this evening and sharing that with us.
You have this right here, Ray?
Yes,
Could
I
you
do.
take this? He can share this with the
Okay.
aldermen, this Vanderbilt study, if there's any questions about it. It's very interesting to read about, so.
I'll run copies and share it with each of the aldermen.
Dr. Sanders, there was a website that I'll check almost daily, and I couldn't pull it up in here. I would have given you today's count. If you go on the Tennessee Department of Health, you can pull by county and see, how many positive cases.
That's this right here.
Yeah, you can, it's a gold mine of data. So
Yeah.
you can see where we have, and I preached about this a couple of weeks ago, that, we had spiked, and I'm hoping we're trending downward, but, we're a hot spot, and, like I said, the virus is real, it can get you. So, most of us young people can survive it, but there's some people that can't, and you can be a carrier and not know it, and you could harm somebody that you love closely, and that would be a tragedy.
I think the example I use is that the population is like a dry forest and COVID outbreak is a forest fire. Each individual ember is not serious. You can stop an individual ember, but if too many of them get together, it gets out of control. And that's what our jobs are, to identify and stop and reduce the spreads from individual embers. And that's all we can do. The
Thank you.
vaccine would be like hosing down the whole forest.
It'll come.
But until then, we have to stamp out the embers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanders. You're greatly appreciated for being here this evening. And I will comment to your question about what the state health department officials indicated. What can you do as an elected official? They emphasize the fact that it is much more effective to have a healthcare professional such as Dr. Sanders talk about the issue than it is for an elected official with little training to do it. So thank you again for being here to share that with us. Okay. Moving on, at this point, we'll get our reports from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Alderman Blackwell, we'll start with you this evening.
Fantastic. I actually took a vacation past 2 weeks, which was needed, so I don't have too much to report. Main thing is that tomorrow night we're going to have one last meeting with the Bylaws Committee for the Community Council for Diversity and Inclusion, which is what we have kind of come up with for the name of it, before we bring that to Jennifer, Mr. Worsham, and then to everybody else. I also held my office hours this past Thursday. Had a few people come, not too many, but it was good conversation. And I think one of the things that I want to speak about really quickly, and even though it's not effective, but it definitely, COVID is something that has been, I feel like, affecting all of us much more personally right now. One of our neighbors was gone for 43 days and just recently got back, so we're thankful for that. But I know our community is grieving right now the loss of and seeing what COVID has done to, to someone personal to all of us. So just wanted to say that my thoughts are with Mayor Norman's family and City of Manchester and all of us here, because I know we all partner really closely with them. So that's it.
Thank you, Alderman Black. Alderman Dunn.
Yes, I had a Go Green meeting on Monday, and that was at 5 o'clock, so anybody who's wanting to join our next one, it's the first Monday of every month at 5. We've been meeting up here. Masks are strongly encouraged, and we sit pretty far apart from each other anyway, but we did get a lot of information together. We are finishing up the rain garden this year, so it's pretty much just hibernating at this point, but it's been weeded, and we're getting ready to see what we might have to do as far as replantings in the spring. I'm doing some research with another member of the Go Green to see what we can do as far as, we're doing some research on some upcycling. So not necessarily recycling, but upcycling different materials that we might have on hand, such as some of our brush and our glass that we have. We've been looking at different grants that we might be able to apply for. So busy, lots of good stuff, and I think it's going to be a good year, 2021. Can't get here soon enough.
Seriously.
Alderman Dunn, I think we're all looking forward to 2021. Vice Mayor Blanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since our last meeting, I think I was in the middle of, I think I had a Duck River meeting as well as a TUA meeting. Everything's going well there. We're still on the positive side of signups on light tubes. So, you know, if you need fast internet, call us up. We'll hook you up and we can give you a gigabyte speed, and you'll just have everything just like that. We have early voting, I think starts next week.
Wednesday. This Wednesday.
Soon. So I encourage y'all to get out and vote. A lot of people have worked real hard. A lot of people have laid down their lives for us to be able to get out and vote and exercise that right. So, you know, I encourage you to do that. Also, I encourage you to shop locally if possible. If you can get it here, get it here. If you can't, then do what you got to do. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Blanks. Our newest Alderman, Sheila.
On October the 3rd and 10th, on Saturday, I helped a group called Farmers to Family. I helped them pass out food boxes here in Tullahoma. On Tuesday, October the 6th, was my first meeting with TAEDC and the Telehoma Industrial Development Board. It's exciting news of new industries and housing developments coming to our city. And on October the 8th, I attended the Mayor's Planning and Coordinating Committee meeting at DW Wilson, met several of the department heads within our city. And also, currently, I'm planning the first annual retreat at the Jefferson Street Park on the Cook Street entrance side. That'll be on October 31st from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. I want to thank Kurt Glick, who is the director of our Parks and Recreations. I have the flyers. They made the flyers up for me today. So we'll be handing out those flyers within the next several weeks. And also October, as you all know, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this month is very near and dear to me as I am a 9-year breast cancer survivor. So I just want to encourage all women to have their yearly mammograms. Early detection is key. I encourage each of you to get your mammogram yearly. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Alderman McGee. Alderman Cherry.
I'll be a little long tonight. First, I do want to address something that as I've read through and seen comments and I've gotten calls, I do have a cough that people have noticed on Facebook during our meetings or out. It's not COVID. I've had it for about 1.5 years. I don't think it's anything serious, but we're trying to figure out what it is. And sometimes I've also got Tourette syndrome. And sometimes that cough ends up, you'll see me get stuck with a cough, and sometimes that's what it is. So for those who have reached out and concerned, thank you. Second, I want to tag on to something that Cernobia just talked about. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. In Telehoma, we always talk about medical and technology, and we have some pretty new, exciting technology here in Tullahoma from one of our providers at Tullahoma Imaging. They have this new 3D Clarity HD mammography, which is pretty neat that it's right here in our hometown. The benefits of that are obvious health-wise to our community, but that will also bring people from surrounding communities, maybe even as far north as Murfreesboro, who are going to eat here. And so to bring through traffic to our town. She did invite us to an open house Thursday, October 15th, from 5 to 7 p.m. There'll be a presentation by Hologic, which is the company who does the mammogram. There's a door prize drawing and champagne and dessert bar. Masks are highly encouraged. Doesn't say that, but I believe that they would be, and that's at Tullahoma Imaging down there by Lowe's. I'm holding a virtual town hall, again, because my cough, people are a little freaked out, so I don't want to put people in a situation. We'll do that October 22nd at 6:30. And I'll put the details and event information out there on Facebook. My number's still everywhere out there, and people use it. The topic this time will be on creating neighborhood action coalitions throughout the different districts and precincts in our community. And this will kind of touch on some other things that I told you I was going to be long, that I'm going to talk about here. Everything from Jimmy talked about voting, encouraging people to get out to vote, to what can we do in each of our own little areas to make our neck of the woods a little bit better. I've been very active in conversations with different groups in our community over the past couple of weeks. One of those has been our builders, realtors, and investors. We had talked about something that, and I'm going to be getting with Administrator Moody here on some conversations that we had as a group. Another group has been with the downtown business owners. We've talked about some of those issues, and I've got some other things that we'll talk about. I took a trip to Ohio last week to go visit my grandparents and uncles and nieces. That was not cousins. It was nice to get away. And personal family news, my little sister's pregnant. My baby sister, so that is exciting. And I think that in leading into the next piece, I think it's important for all of us to remember to take that time to be with family any chance that you can get. And with that being said, I want to express my sincerest condolences to the family of Brandon McGee, who senselessly lost his life to violence that wasn't needed. And there are several in the community who are working towards helping with some funds or some things like that to make sure that they have what they need. And I think it's another opportunity, and this goes back to the neighborhood action councils, where we as a community of neighbors and our city government need to look at a holistic approach to helping stamp out some of these issues. We can't do it alone. Our police force can't do it alone. We as neighbors need to figure out a way to reduce and minimize some of these issues that we were having. And lastly, touching on Alderman Blackwell and others, my condolences to the family of Manchester's mayor, Lonnie Norman. Whether you agree politically or not, Lonnie was a great man. He was a good man, and he was a great asset to not just Manchester, but our community and our city as a whole. I think sometimes we see Manchester, Coffee County, and Tullahoma, but we're all in this together. And I'll shut up, sir.
Thank you, Alderman. I appreciate your comments. We'll be calling you Uncle Daniel now, I guess.
What?
We'll be calling you Uncle Daniel.
Uncle Dan.
That's so exciting.
Oh, yes.
Alderman Almark.
Okay, hello, Board, Mayor and Alderman, City of Telehoma. So the past few weeks, I have enjoyed your meeting, the mayor's meeting, and got to meet some fabulous people the other night. Sarnobi and I did, or the other day, at your community meeting, and I made an announcement to the city. I don't want to spend much time on that. There will be more to come, but I did announce that I have plans for a building that my father owns that's right behind the $5 store here. I'm going to try to create a nonprofit down there that I've been in the works for this for about a year, but we're going to create a center for alcohol and drug abuse recovery. And it will be a licensed mental health and substance abuse facility, and we will offer everything from anger management to MRT. We'll have a juvenile MRT, more cognitive therapy program. There will be classes on domestic violence. There will be a batterer's intervention. We will offer A&D assessments and A&D treatment. And I have some individuals out of Nolensville I'm partnering with that are so gracious as to, they're teaching me right now, and we're going to use their license, and they're going to come down here and be a part of it. And they've set up several programs in several different states. So that's exciting. It's coming down the pipeline. We are going to have a work day for that. Reach out to me if you're interested. If you need some community service hours, whatever, my number's anywhere, call up here, they'll give it to you. Would love to hear from you. And I'm not going to spend much time on that. Mayor, I do have a couple of, I don't know if this is the right time, I've spoken to Mr. Worsham and Ms. Moody about this. I have a couple of issues I would like to add, items of interest I'd like to add to the agenda tonight in new business. One of them would be to have a discussion on recommending an extension of the special events permit for London's. And then another item would be to create basically a memorandum. We don't want to go as high as to call it a lease, but we want to call it a memorandum, a temporary right of occupancy of a temporary right of use and enjoyment that would not be exclusive use for the city and the public to create the contiguous easement for London's to operate their outdoor venue over the next 8 weeks. And also with that in place, London's has offered to offer the city and the citizens the use and public enjoyment of their parking lot to become for the city's use again and for the public's use. So two items there, one to create that memorandum and one to recommend an extension if we could get that on the agenda.
We will add that under the last item under new business.
Okay, thank you very much.
Vote on that.
Do we need to vote?
Yes, we do.
So I would like to make a motion to add both items. One to create a temporary right of occupancy as well as to recommend an extension. So 2 items. I'd like to add both items to the agenda tonight.
That is a motion that you
I make a motion, yes.
I'll second it just for discussion purposes.
Seconded by Alderman Berry.
I'd like to motion to table that till the next meeting so that we can actually get a report from Jennifer Moody and so that we can put it on out there for the for people to actually be able to come and speak to it. I think that the most important part of this is to have it as on the agenda so that the citizens can come and speak if they want to.
We have people here to speak tonight, and I think it's important since we're hindering a business that time is of the essence.
When she makes a motion to table, I think.
I made a motion to table.
We immediately have
Got
to
a
vote.
motion to table, so it'll have to be tabled.
Well, no, we immediately vote on that with no discussion.
Oh, okay,
And then
sorry.
if that passes, we stop. If it doesn't pass, then we go back to the motion.
We'll vote on the motion to table. All in favor of tabling this motion, vote aye. Likewise. And the motion to table is 5-2. Okay, thank you. Okay, that brings it back to me for my comments about what has the mayor been doing. Well, for one, we did have a very good Mayor's Planning Coordinating Committee that many of you did attend. It was great to see that the activity of so many citizens, volunteer organizations working in our community for the benefit of their community. It was a great event. On Friday of this past week, some city administrators met with a group from Somerset, Kentucky, the Center for Rural Development in Somerset, Kentucky. Center for Rural Development in Kentucky operates, They operate for 47 counties there and do an awful lot of economic development for that rural area. And they came and talked to our city about some of the programs that they were doing there that we might find useful for our communities. So that was something that we might be hearing more about from economic development. Also on the development committees that meet on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock, I've been attending those meetings and seeing a lot of new things coming down the pike for development in our community. So that's been my primary activities for the last couple of weeks. In addition to attending with Dr. Sanders, the COVID announced the community meeting today in Winchester. And I will share with you the handout from that meeting so that everyone has that information to share. Okay. I believe we're ready now for the report from the city attorney.
So far this month, it's been fairly quiet, so we haven't anything really to report tonight, but I would like to say that I did attend for the first time in 6 months, as a couple of the aldermen did, the Planning and Coordinating Committee meeting on Thursday. It was really wonderful to get all those people back together and to find out that this virus hasn't really slowed down Tullahoma a bit. We're moving and shaking, as the old saying goes, and things are happening in our town, and there's going to be some announcements of good development here very shortly. Also, I'd just like to announce to you that there was an article in the newspaper. TUA, in conjunction with the National Arbor Day Association, is giving away 100 trees. So this is a way for y'all to get some trees and plant them in your yards and help grow back our canopy of trees in Tullahoma. If y'all have any questions about anything that we've been doing? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Orson. A report from our city administrator.
A brief report tonight. I do want to share, for the benefit of the public, just a little bit more about an item that's on our consent agenda tonight. We'll be announcing a public meeting for next Monday, October 19th at 3 o'clock. This is a meeting for the public to learn the guidelines of a grant program that we're going to be applying for. It's the Community Development Block Grant Program, and it's for any capital project or improvement project in our community that could help low-income families. It's generally for about $300,000 to $500,000, so it can really make an impact in Telehoma if we're successful. So we'd like you to come learn about the program guidelines and solicit input from you, particularly if you're a part of our nonprofit community. And again, that'll be in this boardroom at City Hall at 3 o'clock next Monday. I also wanted to mention to you, the mayor's covered some of the same meetings that I've attended, but we have a meeting this week coming up with Tullahoma City Schools and Sherry Zimmerman, Dr. Stevens, and we'll be talking more about how the city and city schools can work with our industries and our local businesses and make sure that through our curriculum and our programming that we stay aligned with workforce development and the needs of these industries. We certainly have seen a lot of growth in our local industries, and we want to make sure that the young talent that we're training gets to stay right here in Telehoma and have the career of their dreams. Last, I want to share with you, I attended the chamber board meeting this month, and things are going well. They are planning, continuing to make a lot of adjustments and working hard to support businesses. One of the things that they have done is change from the annual Taste of Tullahoma event to offering a 5K event this year. It's called the Gobble Wobble 5K, and I think this week you should start being able to sign up for it. It'll be Saturday, November 21st. So I hope people will support that first annual Gobble Wobble. They say you don't have to be able to run. It is a run, walk, or wobble.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. One of the things that came from the Mayor's Planning Coordinating Committee, the Chamber President, Hope Sarton, was there, and she did announce that there will be a Christmas parade this year. So you can start marking that on your calendar. It's December the 4th, And you can mark that down. That will be the coldest night of the year.
Every time.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. We'll go into the consent agenda at this time, and as a matter of practice, I'm required to read the notes regarding the consent agenda. All matters under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and we have enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or a citizen requests, in which case that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. During the portion of the meeting reserved for comments from the citizens as shown on the agenda, the citizens may request that the board remove an item from the consent agenda so that discussion can be held separately on that item. I will read the captions for the consent agenda. Item number 20-100 is the minutes of the 28th of September 2020 regular meeting. Item number 2101 is the financial report that we received from August. Item number 2102, as Ms. Moody just referenced, is an announcement of the public meeting on Monday, October the 19th at 3 o'clock to discuss the program guidelines, solicit input from the residents regarding the potential use of funds for an application to the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Program of the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development. Item number 20-103 is to approve the purchase of 2 replacement vehicles in the amount of $56,326.50 at state contract pricing from Columbia Dodge for the Tullahoma Police Department. Item number 2104 is to approve a purchase agreement for my telephony system and related support services in the amount of $12,218 from Ideacom Networks utilizing cooperative contract pricing. And that's for the new Telehoma Police building that we have there. Item number 2105, approve a 5-year software agreement with Power DMS, which is a mobile accessible policy for training and management system for law enforcement. Item number 2106 to approve the purchase of a replacement Motorola radio repeater compliant with federal mandates for digital communications. And that's for the amount of $9,856.72, and that's below contract pricing. That's from Communications Evolutions to primary support the Public Works Department. That's the item of the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Berry, seconded by Vice Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Mayor, may I pull one? I would like to pull item number 7. (20-106) for further discussion. I had a few questions about that.
Okay, we'll remove item number 2106. We'll put that at the end of the agenda. That'll be the last item on the agenda under new business.
I'll amend my motion to approve the consent agenda items 100 through 105.
No, do you have it?
That's okay by me.
Alderman Berry has moved to change his motion, and it's been seconded by Alderman Blackwell. All in favor of the motion by Alderman Berry to amend? Vote aye. That motion passes 7-0. Now then, we'll vote on the remaining items on the consent agenda. We have a motion for the consent agenda.
That's what we just did, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We just passed it.
We're just good.
New business.
We're good.
Alderman Berry, okay with you, and seconded by Blanks. We'll vote on the consent agenda.
We just did.
We just did, we approved it. Okay, we combined them all together. Wonderful. We'll now go to old business. Under old business, we have a resolution authorizing appropriations for the financial aid for the Tullahoma Arts Center. For that, we'll get a motion on the floor and second, and we'll probably have some discussion on that. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve resolution number 1831, which authorizes appropriation for financial aid for the Tullahoma Arts Center.
Okay, a motion to approve, second.
And I'm going to be abstaining from this vote because I was on the
Okay.
board for so long.
We have a second from Alderman Dunn. The floor is now open for discussion on that. And there, I believe, Ms. Moody, you may have some comments that you'd care to make.
Well, I can, let me, since I'm on the Art Council, back when we were doing appropriations back, gosh, when was that, 3 months ago?
Yes.
We held their appropriation, which we've done as long as I've been on the board, because their board hadn't met, they hadn't had any meeting, we were not getting any good communications from them at that time. Subsequently, they've had a board meeting, they have a new board, we're getting information, so I think we're a go to throttle up. Miss Moody, am I anywhere close to that?
Yes, I would just add that I did rewatch that portion of the board meeting where it was discussed, and the motion specifically stated that it was tabled waiting for a presentation as to the status of the organization. And so tonight, many of the board members are present, and the president of the board, Joshua Cole, is here with a presentation that we've handed out, and he would like to present.
And we would entertain that presentation.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's an honor to be here to share the status of our Telehoma Arts Center with you. First, I'd like to express my condolences for Manchester Mayor Norman. Our prayers are with his family, friends, and our community. I would like to personally apologize to the board for our lack of attendance to previous meetings. Many of you know me. You know that I can be long-winded, and I like to talk a lot, and I like a good fight, and the Art Center has proven to be a good fight. And many of you that don't know me, my name's Joshua Cole. I'm a long-term Tennessee resident, Telehoma, Lynchburg. I'm Tennessee Colonel Aide-de-Camp, registered with the Tennessee Secretary of State, and appointed under Haslam's administration. I am self-employed in the performing arts, a full-time environmental science student, and the current president of the Telehoma Art Center. I've also submitted my citizens participation application to represent the Telehoma Art Center on the Arts Council of Tullahoma. Over the past few months, our organization has faced some tremendous, horrible issues. Our members are aware of those issues, and we have taken corrective action through audits and the creation of internal controls. The funds that were in question were not city-allocated funds, but a particular grant that was issued to the organization, and that's still being looked at right now. The issues the organization faced were by law reported to the Tennessee State Attorney General's office and the Board of Directors and our organization. If the State Attorney General's office chooses to do so, investigate further, we will cooperate to the fullest capacity. Furthermore, our organization had not had a full audit performed since 2011. We are now in process of performing an audit, and that should be completed by December. We have taken many steps to correct issues and lower the chances of these types of issues of occurring in the future. This is something that should have been addressed many, many years ago. That's the wrap up on the bad stuff. I'd like to move on to the good stuff because that's the future. Our membership's growing, and our membership drive was postponed due to COVID-19 pandemic, and we are now in the planning stages, and it should occur within the next month. The organization has also seen an increase in participation and membership from individuals that did not even know we had an art center, and that's sad. We have established a monthly newsletter that is sent out to our membership, sharing news, upcoming classes, and events for both the Art Center and South Jackson Civic Center. In September, we had our annual meeting in which our 10% members quorum was met. The membership voted and appointed a full board of directors. Some of our directors are present here this evening. You all know Ms. Jennifer Moody, who has an outstanding reputation for supporting the arts. Her works with municipalities and as our current city administrator. We are honored to have her serving on the TAC Board of Directors. The board was also successful in establishing an Oversight Committee to oversee the organization's bylaws and charters. Ms. Moody has accepted my request for appointment to be the BOD Chair on the Oversight Committee. Next is Miss Donna Daly. She has an extensive background in corporate human resources and accounting. In college, she was active in the Oaklands Association. She was the author of the Rutherford County Annual Wage and Benefit Survey, in which she assisted in potential businesses relocating in Middle Tennessee. She represented the Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce in preparations for BMW. She is the former president of the Telehoma Historical Society and currently serves on the Telehoma Pride Committee. Furthermore, Ms. Daly is the 7th great-granddaughter of the first family of Tennessee, William, Billy, and Lydia Russell Bean, who were the first to receive a land grant for properties within the state of Tennessee. And finally, Ms. Jackie Smotherman Smith, who is an artist and instructor at TAC. She has a background in banking and accounting, and she serves on numerous committees within Bedford County. Ms. Smith also has a meritorious retirement from the Army Corps of Engineers in the state of Mississippi. In my opinion, we have a great board with outstanding backgrounds that bring numerous talents to the table that our organization truly needed to move forward. The current board has also been successful in establishing numerous committees to help the organization move forward, including advisory, fundraising, youth, membership, and American Watercolor Society. Membership participation thus far has been phenomenal, and the committees are being well represented by the membership and the board of directors. Almost all of our committees are full. The Telehoma Art Center is a nonprofit public benefit corporation. Our job is to be beneficial to the public and our community. The BOD has taken that to heart. Over the past few months, we have brought on 8 new professional art instructors to create programs at the center, and we have recently established numerous programs that are a benefit to the public and free of charge. During our COVID-19 closure, the BOD was able to meet with some of the BOD and managers from the nonprofit Skills Development. For those in the public that are not familiar with that organization, they serve individuals with physical and intellectual disabilities. The Art Center will soon be offering weekly art programs to their clients free of charge. We are currently in the process of creating other programs that collaborate with another nonprofit, Blue Monarch. We will begin participating in events at the Tullahoma Women's Club and have recently began supporting horseplay through their annual barn dance auction. I believe one of the programs that we are most proud of is the establishment of the Tullahoma Art Center Youth Council, which is growing quite rapidly. As you can see, we have some of our members here. The Youth Council has student members from Manchester, Tullahoma, Franklin County, Lincoln County, and Metro Moore County, Lynchburg. We have some of our youth members here to represent and support the center this evening. The Youth Council had their first meeting this past Saturday and are now working on their plans for the Tullahoma Christmas Parade and the Youth Council Christmas Party, which I believe they're excited about. When the curse of COVID dissipates, the Youth Council will begin taking educational trips to other art centers and facilities, such as the Tennessee State Museum and the Frist Art Center. The Telehoma Art Center Youth Council is under the direction of our new Youth Programs Director, Ms. Joy Sneed. And Ms. Sneed is a retired teacher from the Good Shepherd Catholic School and a Telehoma business owner. We are blessed to have her support at the Art Center. And let me add that since Ms. Sneed has become Director of Youth Programs, our children's classes have sold out. October children's classes, both paid and free, are completely full. And we are now in the process of establishing another time slot to allow for more children to participate each month. The past 2 weekends, we have served approximately 50 children free of charge. October has been full of free events for our area children, including Monster Mash, an upcoming Paint a Pumpkin event, and our inaugural Great Pumpkin Decorating Contest, which we're honored that Alderman Synovia McGee has agreed to be our official pumpkin judge on the 24th. As many of you recently found out, the Telehoma Art Center and South Jackson Civic Center are working hand in hand to build and sustain arts and culture in our community through the collaboration of our visual art shows and their performing art shows. I personally look forward to continuing our work with Mr. Greg Gressel and South Jackson Civic Center in the future. And not only has the Art Center began working with South Jackson Civic Center, we have extended invitations to our Art Center neighbors in surrounding counties and municipalities, which include the Fly in Shelbyville, the Franklin County Art Guild, and the Manchester Performing Arts Center. In my opinion, this is a successful way for the Telehoma Art Center to assist the city in economic growth and tourism. One of my favorite collaborations that we've done is with the Tullahoma High School Digital Arts Program under the direction of Ms. Leanne McCullough. TAC will be selling some of the student-created t-shirts in our gift shop. The Digital Arts Program will also now be creating all promotional materials for TAC, and those creations will then be printed at some of our local businesses. It is important that we continue as a nonprofit to create ways to support our local schools and our local business owners. Finally, as far as the hotel motel tax allocations from the city are concerned, They have traditionally been utilized for general operations to cover overhead expenses such as utilities, telephone, insurance, etc. The Board of Directors intend to continue utilizing those allocated funds if they are approved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for such. These funds will allow the Telehoma Art Center to continue creating more free or low-cost programs for the community. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Cole. When we asked for a report from the Arts Council, you have complied.
Yes.
Thank you for an excellent report. We appreciate that. Ms. Moody, do you have anything to add before we vote?
No, I would just thank Mr. Cole and this board. I've attended my first board meeting and my first, I think, Saturday youth event, and my son Max had fun making a ghost and will be participating in the pumpkin painting. But what I've found there is just a group of really committed, dedicated volunteers that are doing their very best to make sure that this community knows what they have to offer and that they're providing valuable programs that, as you heard, are free or very low cost to the community. So I just really applaud what they're doing, and I'm grateful to be a part of it and use some of my experience to help them.
I'd like to make one note, Mr. Cole. I would like to thank you for the personal tour that you gave me of our Arts Center. I have found it as a treasure for our community and would encourage anyone who has not been through the Arts Center recently to do that. It is a treasure for our community. So thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other comments before we ask for the vote?
Yes, I have a comment. While I'm definitely in support of this resolution and the Art Center, it is of some concern to me with Ms. Moody being the one to present this resolution and her being on the board. It does seem like that is a bit of a conflict of interest. And when she accepted the position on the board, it was my understanding that there would be no conflicts because the city did not allocate money to the Tullahoma Art Center. However, if we pass this resolution, that may or may not be the case, as according to the resolution. So I would like to give you a chance to absolve some of my fears.
Okay. This is the one, the nonprofit allocations are the one part of our city budget that I feel like I would not have a conflict of interest with because I don't take any discretionary action towards what's recommended. Each year, Sue Wilson and her staff work directly with the nonprofits and receive the applications, verify that all the required documents are received. We provide information to the board about the amounts that are requested, but within the budget, we only allocate the exact same dollars that were allocated the previous year. And then we present that to the board, and the board has all of the discretion and makes any recommendation to adjust or increase, change in any way the funding for those organizations.
Would you be voting as a board member on their board on how to allocate those funds? Do you see how that would be a conflict?
I definitely would be voting on the financials, and if participating in the oversight board, I would have a close watch on the financials and how they're allocated within the arts organization, but I wouldn't have any discretion over how the amount or how the funds are allocated from the city.
Other than you recommending this resolution?
I am simply following through the action of the board. So the board asked.
We asked for them to come.
Yes,
and
I understand.
present.
I understand that.
This was presented months
So this
prior
was
to her
prior
being on the board.
to her
Yeah.
accepting a position on the board, is my understanding.
Just voted on the board at the end of September.
Okay. The only issue that I see is you voting on the financials. Other than that, I'm well in support.
Okay. And I think just to clarify, because I don't think you were on the board when we passed the budget, the amount it was actually budgeted, and it's just a little over 14,000. I don't remember the exact number.
This falls into the motel tax allocation.
Yeah.
So it will vary based on whatever the motel So what's in the budget is basically a guideline, but I won't make the determination, the city administrators will make the determination. It goes based on the resolution that allocates the motel tax, unless the board makes a decision to change that resolution.
Okay.
But what I wanted to share is that it's roughly $14,000 or $15,000 estimated. That would be about $1,200 a month. So, I mean, I simply could abstain, I suppose, if those funds are in discussion at the Art Center. But like I said, I don't have any discretion over whether they're received, what the amount is.
I just don't want even the appearance of impropriety upon our city is my only concern. Whether there is, I'm not saying you would ever, you know what I'm saying, I just think that the appearance in itself could be just as damaging as actual impropriety. That's my only concern.
Yeah,
so.
and that would certainly be the opposite of my intent in
Absolutely.
wishing to serve on the board. I have quite a bit of experience working with nonprofit arts organizations and arts councils and the Tennessee Arts Commission. And so what I thought was that I could lend some credibility, hopefully, and some transparency, and almost be a liaison between the city and the arts board. And so my intent is to help them improve in terms of their organizational structure and sustainability, and then walk away. So I'm currently serving a 3-year term on the board, and intend to fulfill that. But honestly, if it becomes an issue, then certainly I would walk away.
Thank you, Mr. Cole, for the presentation. Thank you very much.
I have some questions, so. These are just, you and I have, I'm going to address you. You and I have spoken before.
Oh, yes.
And I appreciate you coming to here. Just some general questions. You said the audit will be done December. Will we be provided a copy of that when that happens? Answer that one. The Oversight Committee, that's made up of, you've got a board member, and how else is that?
Okay, the way we're setting up, right now we're in the provisional stage of getting the rules set up, just like you guys all set up or whatever in the city. What we're doing is we're putting stipulations as to how long the person has been a member, how long they've been, and those people are ones that sit on our board, on our committee. And that committee right now is full, and I think we've got one spot left on it, and most of the members on there have been members of the Art Center for 30+ years. I mean, one of them's been there since 1968. They've been through every possible thing that could have happened at the Art Center. They've seen it, they've gone through it multiple times, and they all agree it's time to fix it. So what they do is, if the board finds that we need to change a bylaw or a charter or whatever, or like a name change or anything, those types of things need to go through the Oversight Committee. And the board of director that sits on that, I recommended Jennifer because she is been through it all. I mean, she knows state laws, local laws, nonprofit laws. She's been with the Tennessee Arts Commission. So those people can help build this to where things don't happen anymore. I don't want bylaws changed to favor a board of directors that's voted in. I mean, our terms are 3 years. A president's term is 2 years. And a secretary and treasurer is 1 year right now. There is no specific way telling us how to do our annual meetings. There's no way. They just tell us quorums. There's one sentence about a quorum in our bylaws. Those were changed 4 years ago. Some people weren't aware of that. But those were changed 4 years ago when they took fine out of the Art Center's name. And they took most of the voting rights away from our members to do that. The only thing the members are allowed to do is vote for board of directors. And when we have a vacancy on the board, that vacancy is filled by a majority vote of the current board members, and then they're board members for a term. So that's what the committee is going to be for, is to establish those bylaws, make sure they're not misused to favor somebody's intent.
And if I can say more about the structure of the Oversight Committee, my understanding was that my role as a board member, I'll have a non-voting role on that committee. So
Right.
my intent was to assist them in developing the bylaws.
Mm-hmm.
And
Basically, she'd be the liaison between the committee and the board. That way, we're not all having to meet together. We can give Jennifer our ideas, we can all brainstorm together, and then she takes those ideas to the committee. And then the committee can determine if those are good for the organization.
You said the committee's comprised of members?
Yes,
Okay.
7 members.
Awesome.
just like our board.
Members and then just one board member,
Yes.
and that board member is a liaison,
Liaison.
similar to how you serve as liaisons to our committees.
Yes, and all of our committees have a board chair sitting on them.
Great. Couple more, I'm almost done. How many current board members,
Currently, we have 7 active board members.
yeah, that was a deep pause, are
Sorry.
are sitting on the board currently who were there previously when all of this went down?
Elected last year, 1. And she's our secretary.
Okay.
I was appointed in March, I believe. And then we didn't have a treasurer. So we were operating unlawfully. The state law requires that an organization's nonprofit have a president, a treasurer, and a secretary. They had operated multiple times throughout the last year without a treasurer. And that's when we asked Ms. Daly if she would step up. She had the experience, background, and so far, so good. All of our accounts are reconciled and they're perfect.
Awesome. A question for Ms. Moody. This said he goes towards utilities, funds, insurance, et
Yeah,
cetera.
general expenses.
When we authorize this resolution, are we doing back pay? Or is it just going to pick, this is allocated monthly, correct?
The intent was, yes, the intent was that it would be retroactive back to the start of the budget year. And the way that, and Ms. Wilson can answer this if you prefer, but the way that those are handled, we receive our hotel motel tax allocations monthly, and then she provides allocations monthly. Our intent with the Art Center, because they are currently in the midst of an audit, would be that they would provide actual receipts or copies of utility bills, and then they would be reimbursed their actual expenses up to what the allocation amount would have been. And then once they submit their completed audit, we'll review that and consider going back to the monthly appropriations like we do for other nonprofits.
And this was the way that you guys did it similar a few years ago, correct? Like,
Yeah, and,
10 years ago?
And also, after you had contacted me in the spring, I had spoke to Mr. Cole and to Ms. Daly earlier in the spring, because when he made me aware that they had some concerns. And so we had been doing that for the last couple months. In last year, we've been paying based on utility bills, so that we knew where the money was going to, and I'd been contacting them.
And you said it's 1450. For some reason, I have in my head that it was higher than that. Maybe I'm thinking of the chamber or somebody that asked for an increase.
It's just under $15,000.
And the original request was for more.
But we only approved.
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
that's
The
where.
prior board was adding in employment, wanting to pay salaries
Right.
out of your appropriations. And traditionally, I've talked to members that have been members forever, and they said that's not what that was for.
Right.
That was just to keep our doors open. We need to make the money to pay somebody if we want to take a break. So,
Thank you again.
you're welcome.
For
Yeah, you're
coming.
welcome.
Thank you for that spirited discussion. Thank
All
you,
right, thank you.
Mr. Cole. Okay, we have the motion, and we have a second. All in favor of approving resolution number 1831?
I'm abstaining. Yeah.
Thank you.
6-0, motion is approved.
Hit me.
Is there any other old business? Hearing none, we'll move on to the new business. New business item number 2107 is to approve a change order with American Contractors in the amount not to exceed $38,000 for additional paving to be completed on West Grundy Street in conjunction with the other paving as part of the Telehoma Police Building Capital Project. Ms. Moody, is this ready? Are you comfortable with that? Or do you want to amend that?
I wanted to amend the recommendation to the agenda, the revised agenda item that I passed out tonight.
You have passed the amendment out, and everyone is got on the table the amendment now is still for additional paving on West Grundy Street, but the background is that turns out that as it was approved, it was going to be under $38,000, but we actually, by the time American and put their fees on it, et cetera, bumped it up over $38,000. So there's a recommendation now to amend that to approve and authorize a change order with American Contractors in the amount of $40,076 for the Telehoma Police Building Capital Project to support repairs and repaving on West Grundy Street. In order, I'm just where clarification on why I do that. If we only allowed American Contractors to do their paving and then came back and did street paving later, there'd be a patch job there. So rather than looking like a patch job there, if we allow American to do both projects, we would look better. So we're asking for the recommendation to approve that $40,076 for the police building capital project to support the repaving on West Grundy Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Blanks and fun.
And a host of volunteers.
Okay,
This
we've got a
will-
motion and a second.
One question. This will just come out of the grant money, the extra 2,000, where is that gonna come from?
That was my intent when I presented it to you for discussion at the last meeting. We prepared an estimate using what we thought were, we used our paving contract numbers to estimate the cost of about $38,000 for the work. What we wanted to do, and Mayor described this, but instead of having the American Constructors subcontractor repave the alley, repave some edges of pavement.
I'm with you on that. Just
Okay.
that extra 2,000, is that gonna come from the grant money as well, or where is that coming from?
It'll come probably from grant and the difference from paving. Yeah.
I'm good with that. Sorry.
All those in favor, vote. You're all in favor, not in favor, vote.
Sorry, I didn't mean to catch you.
No, I just appreciate it. I think you've seen that their subcontractor is on site currently doing the work, and we thought we could prevent coming back a month later with a second company if we can just move forward with the company that's already mobilized.
It's looking really good.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Okay, under new business, we've got to go back now and look at the consent agenda. Item number 2106, to approve the purchase of replacement Motorola repeaters compliant with federal mandates, digital communications in the amount of $9,856.72, which is below the state contract pricing from Communications Evolutions to primarily support public works. And I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I have some questions on that, Mayor.
I think we have to, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Blackwell, who seconded it?
Blackwell motion, Don seconded.
And now we can
Okay,
discuss.
Discussion? Okay, yes, sir. So, since this is under $10,000, is this something that we bid out? How do we know that they are below state contract pricing?
So this purchase, anything that's over $7,500 has to come to this board for approval. And this item is being purchased really almost as a sole source or an exempt type of purchase because it's for continuity of operations. The public works radios, fire and police radios all need to be interoperable. And we use the same Motorola and same provider so we can have that continuity.
So would we not be able to have continuity if we went with a different provider? Is that what you're telling me?
We have a successful relationship with our existing provider and we recommend staying with.
So I just want to go on record as saying we have a great provider here in Telehoma that's operated by Mr. Chad Shellstorp with communications specialists. And I'm not saying that they can meet this pricing or not meet it, but if we're going to be shop local and shop Telehoma, I think that we need to give our local businesses, especially for these exempt type transactions, the opportunity if they can meet that. If they can't, then obviously, the continuity is great. But I feel like it's somewhat hypocritical if we continue to say shop local and we don't even give those businesses a chance.
My understanding is this is Motorola and we have to use the Motorola partner, who is Communications Evolutions, and he is a lower tier Motorola that can't give us the pricing that.
And that may be
That the
it. Like,
big
if he can't give
partner
us the price, then obviously we
can.
need to go with the best price. But I was just
I don't know that
curious.
he's authorized, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if he can sell us the Motorola.
I don't know if he can or not. I'm just asking, have we ever checked since we are shop local?
What I do know is that at the time that we considered providers and competitively bid for providers, the local one that you're talking about was not an authorized Motorola dealer.
Okay.
And that's how we began using Communications Evolutions. I do believe, and this is just, thank you, Chief. I do believe this
Thank
is
you,
word,
Chief, yes.
this is just word of mouth, but I do believe that since that time, he may have become a Motorola dealer. I really couldn't answer that.
Thank you. I'll try to answer a little bit of it.
Okay.
One thing about the reason we want to stay with Motorola products is because the Motorola products support the communication center, the consolidated communication center that handles dispatch for all the county. We use the same provider that they use. Therefore, when the provider comes to Telehoma and goes into our tower sites or comes to our stations and programs our radios, they have access to all the codes. There's a certain propriety that they kind of protect. They don't want to just give those codes out to another provider to put in, because if there's a problem, then who's going to get blamed? If there's an issue with the way the radio works, who's going to take responsibility for that? So we feel on that side of it, it's very important to have the same person or same company doing all the programming, installation, and maintenance. Over the past few years, we have reached out to other companies and received quotes for radios and actually purchased those radios thinking that those people were dealers. And then when we had issues, we found out that the equipment had to be sent back to Huntsville because the person we bought from wasn't a dealer. They had bought from a dealer and resold to us and actually possibly taken a loss just to get the business. But we have to have service. When we have an issue, we don't have a week to wait while the radio's sent off. The company we use currently is an almost immediate response. They're based out of McMinnville, but they have people in this area. And since we're such a large county that uses them countywide, we get great service out of it. I'll answer any other questions other than the price we got for this repeater. Actually, this is a 3-department process that we've been working on over the last year since Chief Williams came on board to get all 3 groups in the same radio bank, so during an emergency, we can all communicate with each other and not have to worry about our channels not matching up. And, we've had several storms. I don't know if Chief Williams brought them with him, but we've had several this year, and we've all 3 been out all night and working together, and we found some issues. We're trying to close those gaps. And this is one of the steps. The repeater Chief Williams and I partnered up and bought in the spring is one half, and this repeater that Butch is buying is the other half of that program. So it's really important that we keep that all intact.
And so are we on board with also replacing, don't you need some radios replaced as well?
Well, Chief Williams and I both need some portables, and Chief, I think, needs a few mobiles, and actually, Mr. Taylor has bought some portables lately. Everything we've bought is digital compliant, which is where we're going, digital. Right now, we're on analog, and if you listen to our radios, you can hear the static in the background, and we tested a digital portable. I actually drove to Estill Springs on the railroad tracks with a portable and talked to my assistant chief, and he was sitting at his desk on a portable, which is only 4.5 watts, crystal clear. And our mobiles have 25 watts, so we just feel like this is going to be just a huge improvement, but we've got to get all the infrastructure, get it all put in place, and then that one magical day, hopefully January 1st and 2nd, we will switch to digital, and we'll be the first in the county. But it's a huge improvement, and it's federally mandated.
I want to support all 3 of your departments. I don't want the question to seem like I'm unsupportive. I just want to also make sure that our local businesses know that they're getting a fair shake, and that if they're able to provide the same kinds of service and what you need, then that would be one thing. But again, it's all about transparency and accountability. I want to make sure that these guys get what they need. It's for their safety as well.
I can assure you, first, we're looking at quality of the equipment. Then we look at price. Then depending on whether we're looking at the value of service.
Okay.
And with those three laid out, we're going with the right person.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Well, and I will add in terms of the radios, we started with the replacement purchases of radios in the 2020 budget year. And then with this recent approval that you gave at the last board meeting, we should be able to finish out the replacement of all the radios.
Yes, there'll be some agenda items coming with the final. Yes.
Okay.
She had asked about state contract pricing. There's like a literal actual list, right? You can just go look that
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
up, and that's
Yeah,
how you
depending
can
on the
tell
part,
if it's over or
Yes.
above. You can go see
Okay. Thank you.
where it's at.
And they have to be at that price or less so you can purchase with a.
And they need to be an actual dealer.
They
and
have to
able
be a
service.
Motorola dealer, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Now we're ready to vote.
I have to say, you know, we've been through this, you know, 7 or 8 years ago. Richard, don't you remember, we've had the same discussion where we were, you know, wanting to try to keep it open if at all possible, but sometimes they're not authorized to take care of what we need. So, you know, this will probably come up in another 6 or 7 years when there's new people on the board.
Digital 25.0 radio.
You know,
What's going to be cooler than digital? What's the next thing? Telephone.
It'll be Star Trek.
You could do a really.
Motion is approved, 7-0.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. We'll need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Oh, I think we should just talk
Let's
longer.
just vote then. So it's approved.
I love how you look at there.
I think we found that out in the
Robert's Rules of
Robert's Rules of
Order.
Order. We have to have a motion.
I was not there, I was at, so Barry made the motion to adjourn, and who seconded?
Thanks.
Well, sorry, this is new to me.
You can have that.
I'll take it.
Barry and Blanks. All right, so vote to adjourn,
Thank you.
please. And there we go, sorry.
This time I get a hit.
I believe the motion passes 7-0.
Up beer board.
Let's go to the beer board.
Beer board.
Any public comments from the beer, any public want to address anything for the beer board? Hearing none, on the consent agenda.
Never mind. I was just joking.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Blank. Motion by Blanks.
Second by Black.
Blackwell, second.
Blackwell, second.
No further discussion. We'll vote to approve the consent agenda.
And 1, 2, 3, it's Alderman McGee. Did you vote
I'm sorry.
for the reading of the beer board? We got 7-0.
Other old business, there's no other old business. Let's go to the new business. Item number 20, BB 27, beer board application for on-premises permit for a restaurant, China Walk, located at 1905 North Jackson Street, Suite 910. Ms. Liu will be the local manager in charge of beer sales. Consider approval subject to the final fire inspection. Do we have final fire inspection?
No.
Subject to final fire inspection.
Motion to approve item number 20, BB 27.
Second.
Subject to the
Yes.
fire passing stuff.
Second.
Motion by Blanks.
They're all second it. That's
Quick
Second by
questions.
Blackwell.
Blackwell.
I would love to.
Any discussion?
Real quick, is this in the Kroger shopping center? Is it just new owners?
No.
No.
Oh, I'm getting that beer for them.
Remodeling.
Are you open tonight?
Yeah.
Not on Monday.
What?
I know.
It's
That's
all
one thing I
takeout.
found out because I
I
used
don't
to
know.
try
Y'all
to
are all
order
takeout
takeout.
still, too.
For the pit beer way.
7 days a week is a little much on me.
All right.
Ms. Leo, would you please come to the podium, please? We have some questions about beer sales in our community.
We're actually pretty new at this. We were thinking of like merging Chinese with seafood recently, and we have been remodeling to do so. We did have a few customers that's like, are y'all gonna sell alcohol with that? And we were thinking, okay, why not? And so we're new at this. We've never done it before. It's literally the first time in our family to want to sell beer for the first time. So I'm not really sure what I need to do, but.
Are you familiar with the rules of selling beer in
I got all the
Tullahoma?
basics. I got all the basics.
Have you read them?
Sorry, what?
Not yet?
She said,
Say, have you read those rules yet?
I have read those.
You have read them?
Yes. All the questions I've got, I have went through all those. I'm more of what I have from Mrs. Smith. I forgot the name. But we are trying to find someone to come out and teach, like the main waitresses, because I know so far it's me. But we are thinking about hiring new waitresses and employees to help out. But right now what we're more worried about is finding someone to teach us the safest way and the regulations of how beers are being sold. So we still do have like a few things on us for the building, such as the fire marshal stuff that we have not done yet. And we have got the responsible vendor sheet, who to call. And we're still working on it.
There's a contact person, somebody will come out and teach y'all how to do that.
Yes. Yes. And
Well,
I did get
the sale of beer in our community is an awesome responsibility, particularly with underage beer sales.
Yes.
So we will expect you to have a system in place to monitor very closely underage beer sales in our community. And we wish you every luck with your continued success. You've been there for how many years?
I think over 30 years now.
yeah.
I know it's over 30 years because, yes. So good luck with that and congratulations. We look forward to working with you.
Just a reminder that we do have board meetings that generally end around 7, and we're usually hungry every second and fourth
Mondays.
day.
It's not on Mondays. It took me 22 years to finally get a day off, okay? Monday is my only day
Should not
off,
work.
okay?
Can I ask one question?
Not even for us.
Is wine part of it, or is it just beer?
That's only a part.
Beer.
This is just beer.
But,
If there's no other questions or comments, we'll vote on BB 27.
I'm so hungry. No wine.
Passes 7-0. Is there any other new business?
Will you have Qingdao?
I make a motion to adjourn.
We got a motion to adjourn, a second. No further questions. We'll vote on the motion to adjourn. Passes 7-0. Thank you. Everyone have a good evening.
She always draws on it.